The Raptors come up short against the Golden State Warriors. 126-110 is the final. We are live at Real Sports. I'm Randy Urban. This is Raptors Tonight, joined by Jack Armstrong, Paul Jones, and Eric Smith on the end. Well, guys, that wasn't pretty. Let's get into it right away. Jack, Golden State comes in on a bit of a losing streak. And to me, everything looked difficult offensively for the Raptors. Why is it that teams are coming in and sort of finding their groove against the Raptors?
Well, I think obviously for Golden State, you know, they've adjusted now to a few games not playing with Steph Curry. And I think they came in a good groove. Draymond Green made a few shots to start the game, and then it clicked.
Yeah.
It was just one of those nights for them, and it was a really good night for them. And I think they're coming in saying, look, this team's struggling. We got a chance to get a win tonight. They got the Knicks and Nets coming up, saying so. I think they play with a higher level of desperation, and the Raptors just didn't have it tonight.
No.
Whatever that it is, they just didn't have it, period.
126 points, Jonesy. What stuck out to you defensively?
Well, Eric and I talked about it on the radio. We thought one of the real keys, Steve Kerr is big on, like Popovich, that tree. Play to your strengths. Mm-hmm. Do what you do well and try to continue to do it. They're number one in the NBA in three-point makes. They're number one in the NBA in three-point attempts. They're number one in the NBA in assists. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen? They're going to move the ball and shoot the three. Mm-hmm. And they did that early. And to Jack's point, just thought the Raptors were, I'm not saying they didn't play hard, they just seemed a step slow. Mm-hmm. And Golden State is one of those teams that you need to be conditioned to playing against them, mm-hmm. right? It's like, they play fast. But you get on the floor and you don't realize sometimes how fast they really play,
yeah.
and how quick those shots come, and how
ball does not stick.
Exactly.
At all.
The guy catches the ball and you think, okay, he's going to second to side, bang, he lets it fly. You're like, wait a minute. And it goes in. And it's like, no, that's the way they play. So I'm not saying they sneak up on you, but sometimes they sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm. Eric, what stuck out to you?
Can I go back to last game for a second, and pre-game last game, before the Brooklyn game? And Jonesy, I know you and I chatted a little bit about this, and I apologize if you guys brought it up on the last show. But here's...
All right, great. We're on the air. Thank you.
We always love chatting. So Jacques Vaughn said before the game, he said, we used to say in our huddles, or to break our huddles, the word trust. It was 1, 2, 3, trust. He said, trust takes a long time to build, and trust is a word you can't just flippantly throw around. Mm-hmm. And he said, I found that maybe we didn't necessarily trust one another. Now, I don't know that that's the case with the Raptors, but what I see is a team that has a lot of injuries. Thus, they've had a lot of different starting lineups. Thus, the rotation has been impacted. Thus, everything's kind of out of whack. You're trying to figure yourself out. And what is your main route where you've kind of made a name for yourself is being a defensive-minded team, a team that plays for all for one, not one for all, et cetera, all that stuff. But maybe the trust factor isn't there. If I let my guy go, will there be somebody in the backyard guarding the yard? Will I have the help? Will it be there? And I feel like, and again, it's not like the sky is falling, the world's ending, but I just think because of the personnel shift and everything, perhaps the trust factor isn't there. So when Jacques Vaughn said that the other night, I thought it was, first of all, extremely honest and forthcoming from him to talk about his own team like that. He said, now they say win. Mm-hmm. And win, not just win the game, win the possession, win the quarter, win the half. He even said, win the relationship. Know that in this moment, I'm a better teammate than I was last game. Yeah. I'm winning the relationship. And I was trying to, in my mind, go, is that kind of maybe an analogy or parallel I could bring to the Raptors right now? They maybe aren't trusting as much right now and need to win the moments more and not necessarily get caught up and just win the game. I thought it was really interesting. I think that, to me, when you said what's wrong with the defense,
yeah,
that might be a big part of it.
Yeah. We got a question. We got a fan question. Where's Aiden? Aiden, come on in here. You're up. Put that water down. Get in here. You're in?
I thought we had a question coming a second ago.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm good. Poole is definitely on an offensive tear today. What do you guys think the Raptors could have done better to stop him?
Wow. I tell you what, he was on it.
He's
He's
good.
really good. He was coming off screens quick. Didn't need a lot of time. I think it was. I mean, you could say, well, you could go double team them, but the ball moves so quick on that team. They're a hard team to double up. I just think you got to keep them in front of you and make them take tough shots.
He was Steph Curry light
He
tonight.
was.
He was.
A lot of,
He
he
was.
I'm
had
not
a
sure
lot of
what
space.
you could have done.
Yeah, I thought Nick. I mean, we saw boxing one at times.
Yeah.
We saw all kinds of stuff, and
Went a lot of zone at times.
sometimes when a guy gets it going like that, and Eric and I did Kobe's 81-point game, and we saw him 2 years later, and asked him like that night what could have been done, and he went
Nothing.
He went straight brown turtleneck on us. He said nothing, and like tonight, Jordan Poole, career high 43. Like,
It couldn't be stopped.
couldn't be stopped.
Yeah.
Couldn't be stopped.
I just think it was a case of two. Jack, you touched on it a little bit. I think they've had issues stopping the ball, right? If they don't stop the ball, guys are getting into the lane, and then it's either finish on a floater, stop on a dime, move the ball. If you're not stopping the ball,
and
right?
Golden State is bing,
You do
bing,
it
bing.
quick.
They
Yeah.
play out of the double
Yeah.
team. Draymond quarterbacking in the middle of the floor, lob, pitch to the corner. Like, he thinks so far ahead. He pitched the ball into the Raptor bench one time, thinking
Yeah.
a guy was going to
Yeah.
be there. So, Poole had it going tonight. And it's a tough night for Toronto defensively.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job.
Great
Thanks,
job.
Ian.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
stuff, man.
Pleasure.
Appreciate
So
it.
all these guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Nice. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question.
No answers.
Wait
unfortunately.
up. We should have asked Aiden what he would have done to
I
stop it.
don't know how many
Hey, he looks like a baller. Maybe he could have
How
stopped
many
him.
answers for Jordan Poole?
No.
One of the security guys asked me when I was leaving, he's like, can we sign you to a 10-day? I'm like, I don't think you need me. Just sharpen up those elbows.
Siakam hasn't really been that great the last few games. I think.
Siakam, you
Yeah,
said?
I don't think he's like pressing too much. I think he's missing some bunnies here and there, and that could change the complexion of your line and the way your next possession goes when you make those. But what are you seeing from him, Jack?
I think things around him are a little different.
Yes.
Like Fred VanVleet's being a lot more aggressive with the ball. Like, I think at times Fred VanVleet was really playing off the ball
Yeah.
and letting Siakam be pretty much the point guard. Now now VanVleet's a lot more involved in trying to get his own. I think Scotty Barnes is too. So I think it's kind of just recalibrating. I think Siakam's kind of trying to find his way again.
I agree with that,
It's
Jack.
odd, but he looks a little
No, I agree with that.
indecisive.
I agree with that, Jack, in the sense that this Raptors team, to Eric's point about the trust earlier, they understand when this guy has it cooking, get out of the kitchen. Like, let him do his thing, right? And Fred's had a couple of, like he came in tonight with back-to-back 39-point games, and he starts going downhill.
Yep.
It's like, hey, my guy's got it going. Let me be a passenger tonight. I'll drive when it's my turn. And to Jack's point, I think Pascal's kind of, recalibrating, kind of
But you lose your
resetting
rhythm a
things.
little bit.
You do.
The spirit, Eric. I'm not seeing. I think there's effort. I think they're trying to win. They're trying to make shots. They're trying to D up. But I feel like a little bit the spirit has been sucked out of the team, and a losing streak and the mentality that goes with that has something to do with it. Are you seeing that? lack of
100%
spark?
I'm seeing it. And whether it's
Yeah.
legit or not, at least that's what I'm seeing. I think we're all seeing it. I think all the fans are seeing it to some extent. And, I know we
It was
mentioned
quiet in there today, too.
Well, quiet from the fans, and I'll tee up Jonesy in a
I'll
second.
get to
here.
it.
I'll tee it up for you to knock it out in a second.
Let me
Jonesy.
finish my wing.
Yeah, you
I'll
eat
have
your
a
wing,
French
and I'll
fry.
talk more from a team perspective. It's like even we talked about on one of the previous shows, and you read some of the articles, whether it's Scotty Barnes or other players. Scotty's the one that stands out most because he's that personality and that guy that's always bubbly and jumping around and whatever else. You're not seeing that as much. So, is everything okay? What's wrong? But to me, it's team-wide. You see the shots from the cameras on the TV broadcast, and Jack, I don't know if you and Matt chatted about it or not, but it just seems like a lot of long faces, which is kind of understandable, I guess. You're losing.
You're losing, yeah.
You had a 5-game losing streak. You're not feeling good about yourself. And then is that affecting your confidence? Is it affecting just the vibe of the team overall? The thing I would say, though, Randy, is how much does one win flick the switch and kind of turn the tide?
Big time.
I think it can.
Big time.
But the problem, too, is then, and Jonesy, here's where you come in, is it was quiet in the building tonight. So when it comes to the fans, is it you need the fans to give you a lift, or are you going to give the fans a lift based on how you play, and which is the chicken or the egg, and which one's first? Because it was dead quiet in there tonight, and I'll steal your line to help tee you up. But it was almost like people were there more so to see the Golden State show than to actually see the Raptors break a then 4-game, now 5-game losing streak. They were there to see the opponent, not the home team. And we haven't seen that in Toronto in a long time.
Can I just say one quick thing, and I know Jonesy has. Friday night, KD, Kyrie, the Nets.
Yeah.
It was hostile.
It was buzzing.
But it was different.
Yep.
And
You're right.
But I agree with you. But I thought the Raptors had that fight and that juice, and they could never get the crowd going. But part of it was the crowd. Maybe the dynamic of this crowd was
after the
different
game,
than
people were buzzing, wanting Jordan Poole's towel and
People were
Draymond
milling
Green.
around.
And again, Draymond Green, I know he's a
Different crowd.
champ and he's an all-star and everything else.
Different
but
crowd than Friday.
They were freaking out for Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, to your point, way more than they were for Kyrie or KD.
And that was the point that I made. I felt that, and Eric and I talked about it on the radio and sometimes took differing views. The team has to give the crowd something to cheer
Some
for.
water? I'll get you some water.
But at the same time, when there is something that happens, when there's a three-point play that cuts the lead from 18 to 15, and it's the middle of the third quarter, like there should be a little bit of a little zap.
Got to 13.
Right, a little zap from the fans saying, okay, hey, maybe we're making a run.
Yeah.
That didn't happen tonight because people had come to see Golden State rather than cheer for Toronto. And Jack, Eric, we've seen it. We've been in the building when the Bulls were there, right? You were in the building when the Lakers come to town.
Yeah.
And people show up with LeBron jerseys. It's a different crowd. And you still need the other 60%, 70% of the Raptor fans to say, no. This is our gym. Our team's doing something. Let's get it going.
I was getting messages from people on social media saying, you tweeted out yesterday that Steph Curry was going to be at the game. Where is he? Because I mentioned ahead of time yesterday that he's going to be at the game, albeit in street clothes. Well, he didn't come out until the second half. Well, where is he? I want to see him. People just wanted to see the guy that wasn't even playing, just to see him sitting on the bench. That doesn't happen these days, and it did tonight.
I was saying to Randy before we came on, and obviously you guys know my dear friend, and you've been out to dinner with him, Frank Layden.
Yeah.
And he and Jerry Sloan, when they were with the Utah Jazz, they would ask the league office to not play home games the few weeks leading up to Christmas because they felt a lot of times their guys would get distracted and they'd rather play it on the road and go in and play distracted teams and steal wins. And it's interesting, the Raptors tonight, it's their last home game before Christmas, and it just seemed, and they're traveling out for a back-to-back, and it just seemed like their heads were somewhere else. Now, I don't know if I'm in the right church. I don't even know if I'm in the right pew. But I just feel like I'm not used to seeing. I'm not used to seeing that.
Is there a wrong pew, Jack? I didn't know
There's
that. I'm
a
not
wrong
a church
pew.
guy,
but you could be in the wrong. But they just seemed like they were not in the right. They were just not there.
Yeah.
And that was not the case Friday night. That wasn't the case Wednesday night against Sacramento.
Yeah.
But I felt that way tonight.
Yeah.
They looked different. They felt different.
We have another fan question coming in. Banya, where you at? Banya?
Where is it? Oh, here we go.
Banya. You're up next. You're first. Get in here. I say, what's your name again? Sorry.
Bana.
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 I called you Bana.
Hi, Bana.
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? Here.
What do you got for us?
Want to hold the mic?
Yeah, sure. So my question is, we know OG's been out, and obviously that's been like a problem for the team. So how does his absence to the games affect the team?
It's a great question.
A lot.
A lot.
He's one of the defensive anchors. And even when your offense isn't going, you could make it tough for the other guy. OG's one of the guys that can make it tough for the other team. And it doesn't matter who it is on the other team, whether it's their biggest player or their smallest player. So OG's absence is
And two
is
to
big.
three times a night, he's picking off a pass and going in alone.
Yep.
That ignites your offense. That ignites, makes people feel
He's
good.
showing how valuable he is a defender when he's not there right now.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes he's, when he is, he's valuable, but he's showing how much they miss him right now.
Eric?
Well, I think when I look at OG and we talk about his defense, he's proven himself as an offensive threat as well this year. And even going back to last year, beginning of last season when Pascal was gone with the shoulder surgery and coming back, he was arguably your best player for the first 2-3 weeks of the season, if not month of the season last year as well. So he's a guy that now for back-to-back seasons, I think has proven that He can and will step up when needed offensively. He clearly can and will and is more than capable of doing it defensively. And when you combine his absence with no Precious, with no Gary, and with a guy in Otto Porter who's pretty much almost forgotten now because he's only played a handful of games.
And they would have been
Those
in
are
your
four
top,
guys.
They would have been in your top 8.
Exactly, Jack. So that's half of your top 8 that's out of the lineup right now.
Hard to win.
That's tough.
Yeah. Hard to win.
It's hard to win in this league when you're healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Get it up.
Well
Bring it
done.
up.
Nice meeting you
Yeah,
guys.
Nice
Yeah.
meeting you. Thanks for coming over.
Appreciate it.
You have a friend over there that wants to have some questions?
Yes.
Bring her up.
Daniela.
Daniela.
Yeah, we like
Daniela.
the live ones. Questions?
Hi, Daniela.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
What do you got?
Okay, so my question is obviously this is the Raptors' 5th straight loss. How does the team bounce back after, from this?
When we were coming up, Jack and I, Jack said, "You doing the show tonight?" "Yeah, I'm on." He said, "Let's go." But Steve Kerr was in the middle of a question that one of our Toronto reporters asked him. So you guys have had long losing streaks. You haven't been good on the road. How do you bounce back from that? And I thought Steve Kerr gave a great answer. He said, you build your culture in winning times. This is what we're about. And for the Raptors, it's about playing hard. It's about playing together. It's about effort, all of those things. Steve Kerr said your culture has to help you ride it out. So the things that you did to make you successful, even though you're not successful right now, you need to keep doing those. Play together, play hard, move the ball, concentrate on your defense, get back in transition. All those things that made Toronto good, they've got to keep doing them. And he said, just be of strong character, because you're going to take a lot of criticism. 5 in a row.
Yeah.
People want trades. They want, do something. And he said, you've got to stay the course with your culture and kind of ride it out. I thought that was really interesting.
And let's be real. I mean, 8 of the last 9 years, the Raptors have been in the playoffs, and they won an NBA title in that stretch. If you told me right now today, I could have the same thing in the next 9 years, where do I sign up?
Yeah.
So we've all been spoiled. We're not used to this. And tonight was one of those nights you're like, they haven't lost 3 games in a row at home since 2013, 2014. I mean, it's a long time ago.
9 years, 8, 9
Today's
years.
Twitter world, whatever it is, that's like, people's attention span is limited. I mean, that's a long, long, long time ago.
TikTok.
People have been spoiled.
Oh, Jack's big on TikTok. Oh, you haven't seen his account?
No.
Dancing all the time.
If I did, I don't even know. If I did have one, I wouldn't even know I would.
I think
You have people that do that for you, right?
There's
Exactly.
something in there.
No, that's the truth. I wouldn't even know I'd be
I'll
on.
say this as well, and let me preface this by saying, different year, different team, different situation given the injuries. The rest of the league, let alone more so the conference, is better as well. At this point, pretty much last year, we're talking about the exact same situation. The Raptors were 14-17 last year. They're 13-17 right now. Hey, you win by miracle tomorrow night, it's the exact same record. Do you have it in you, though, to do what you did last year? Because after 46 games last year, Toronto was 23-23. They were scuffling last year the exact same way they are right now. It was a tear that they went on in the final, almost last half of the season, a little less than half the season. When they went, what was the math again, 25-11?
Yeah.
Is what they went on to close the year after being 23-23. So you were here at this point last year, pretty much.
Can I say
It
something?
just feels different.
I was just going to say,
Just feels
it
different.
feels different than it felt last year.
Yeah. And I think part of
I
that,
can't put my finger on it.
I think part of that too are the expectations, right? Like you keep raising the bar. As Jack said, 8 of 9 years in the playoffs, and people fail to realize that at the start of the year, everybody starts at the bottom of the hill. You got to go back down, to use Eric's word, and scuffle. You got to go back down and claw your way up the hill and push people down and get.
And expectations were lower last year.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bring it up
Thank you,
top. All
Danielle.
right.
Well done. Well done.
Good job.
Okay.
You guys were awesome. Thank you. All right, let's get a depressing day. How about the World Cup today? That was one of the best.
One of the
sporting
best soccer
events
matches I've ever seen. Yeah.
Ever in my life.
Rarely do you get a moment like that where the best players play at their best and the game is fits the bill.
Yeah.
And I'll say, this will be my last comment. There's nothing like
It doesn't have to be your last. We
No,
can keep going.
there's nothing like live sports.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's compelling, and that's why people and the business that we're all in, compared to a lot of other things, it always sells and it always succeeds.
It's the ultimate reality TV. And Jack, to your friends on Twitter,
TikTok.
I don't know them.
my brother Mark was watching on the West Coast, and he talked about Mbappe. He said he's dropping people like Iverson, like just the way he's moving. And I tweeted back at Mark, and for the world to see, something that we know. It reinforces that in the biggest games, your best players have to be your best players.
Yep.
Or you can put the emphasis the other way. Your best players have to be your best players. Like, you need those guys. Messi scores twice. Mbappe scores twice. Like,
3 times.
Great.
like, and counting the penalty kicks, like the best guys are like, hey man, get up my back, we're going. And
Great stuff.
It was compelling. It was riveting.
I was Argentinian today.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, I was feeling like I was screaming.
I
in
was
my
rooting
house.
for Argentina. I was rooting
like-
for Messi. You know.
Oh,
It's a great
God,
story.
It's
a great story, but
I
man,
hadn't felt
France
like
is
that
good.
in a
man.
while.
France is good.
Listen, I'm not a huge soccer guy.
No, but
I was dialed in today, and
Yeah.
I was getting fired up. And the only thing I will say, just as again, this is like coming from the like below amateur level analysis here. I don't love the fact that in extra time it's not sudden death. You've played 90 plus minutes. You've had the injury time.
Yeah, I
you
talked
go
about
to
that
the extra
with my
time,
brother today.
and Messi scores, and it's not over. We're still playing. Like what?
But
yeah.
But that
again,
was,
that's just.
But I don't mind it too because it created.
Oh, it added
even
more drama.
it was great.
But then it also then set up
It was
the fact-
amazing.
That save right before penalty kicks.
But
That-
going to
from the
penalties,
Argentinian-
going to
I don't
penalties,
like. I don't like
God.
penalties.
penalties to
So you'd rather them go and play until they're
Sudden death,
exhausted.
yes.
No,
They're
no,
exhausted.
hold on,
they
hold on
can't-
a second.
Like the
Hold
next
on a
guy's like
second.
walking it up.
Hold on a second. You played full time.
190th minute.
You played full time. You played the extra time because even though Argentina scored in the extra time, France had time to come back, and
Yeah.
they did. Once you get to the second overtime, next goal wins.
Yep.
And no penalty kicks.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying, and again, I don't want to sound like the guy it was an unbelievable game. And you said,
It's the greatest game I've ever seen in my life, probably.
sporting event, not just soccer,
Yeah.
right? Like, it was unbelievable. I agree with you. But if you can have hockey players playing like 7 overtimes or 7 periods or whatever the hell, and you can have triple, quadruple overtime in basketball, and you can have,
But
I need it to end.
The guy that got taken off ran 13.8 kilometers.
Sounds like Randy Urban on a Tuesday, man.
match.
You got that covered.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Jack
you
Armstrong's
want them
going to
to
do
get up
6
to
miles
20
tomorrow
and they're just
morning.
I don't think I'm going to
Guy-
be doing 6 miles tomorrow morning, but
Okay, 4.5.
all right.
Be
All
too
right, let's
busy
wrap
doing
it
his
up.
TikTok videos.
Next game. Next
In the
game.
house.
Next game for the Raptors, Monday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Tip-off goes at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to catch Raptors Tonight live on YouTube, as well as NBA TV.
Hey,
Canada.
last live show before Christmas.
Last
right?
live show, yeah. Yeah, we're not
Merry
live every
Christmas,
day.
happy
Can we get a
holidays.
Jack Armstrong extra
send us
going
that.
out?
Oh.
Silver bells.
Thank you for
Silver
watching.
bells.
See you next time.
Silver bells.
Got it.
It's Christmas time.